Everybody coolin'.
I'm Ken Cavanaugh. Tonight, music on Telescope with Ben McPeek.
That's all, folks.
If you watch television or listen to the radio, you know the music of Ben McPeek, whether or not you know his name. Ben is one of our most prolific composers of commercial jingles. Banks, oil companies, breweries, credit cards are all busily sending you their messages via McPeek's catchy melodies. Centennials also provide him with continuing employment. You all know that Bobby Jimby wrote Canada for 1967, but it was Ben McPeek who did the memorable arrangement you heard so often. He's doing the same for Manitoba and British Columbia. But Ben McPeek is also a classically trained musician who studied composition at the University of Toronto. He's written symphonic music and a comic opera. That training has been vital to him, as Ben explains.
If you don't have a great deal of craft, if you don't know your craft, your melody sounds like you worked very hard on it, and it's very clever, and it's very nice, and it's boring.
Here's music by McPeek, then, for this edition of Telescope, directed by Colin Smith.
I have quite strong feelings about music. I find it very difficult to express concrete ideas in music because a particular piece of music suggests something to each listener. A piece of music behind a film or behind images suggests a completely different mood. I mean, you can put several different pictures to the same piece of music, and in each case, the music sounds different depending on the action in front of it. I find that music is best for conveying a mood and not necessarily an intellectual concept. Well, here we are again, Monday morning. I can't do it. This is my building, 131 Hazelton, where all the music comes from. We do about half my writing at home and the other half here, but we do all the business here. Hi, Beverly.
Oh, Ben, would you call Bill Bradshaw in New York, and also Jacqueline wants to see you.
I'll call him at 11 o'clock. I find it difficult to get an idea down on paper that's in my head. I mean, I think of a melody. I say I have to write something for Mercury, or I have to write something for Gulf, or I'm writing an orchestration. I try to get emotionally involved with their problem. I think that it has to be entertaining. Sometimes you are entertained by melody. That's why popular music is the biggest source of money for composers today. If you write a popular tune, you make a great deal more money than if you write, say, my 12 two-part inventions. The thing is, it's like you have to think of yourself as a professional. If you're a doctor and you operate on people, you go in the morning, you take out the things, and you get saying, like, who do I cut today? We do an awful lot of work in and out of Toronto and in an awful lot of areas. Allan McMillian is one of the people that I enjoy working with most. He's a music director like myself and an arranger. We generally have split responsibility in an awful lot of different areas and had a few laughs.
Some of the nutsy things that happen in this. Have you seen Murray Lauder lately? You remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Remember that?
We did a very funny thing. We had to do a promotion for 7-Up, and they asked to do a track, and they said, and don't use Hawaiian guitar. We want something that's a little bit different and suggests the sound of the islands. So I did the track with 3 drummers, of which I was conducting and sang. like this. I said, if you're playing with me, you're wrong. It's supposed to be random and very primitive. And at the same time, we had the melody going, and the account people on the account said, oh, that's terrific, but it doesn't sound very Hawaiian. It sounds like East Indian or something, or heavy native drums. I said, no, it will when I finish. Then I brought out a lead sheet, which is a part, and I had some special Hawaiian words written for the musicians, and they chanted like Hawaiians, and they said, like, Lakanaka, Wakanaka, Saka. Oh, we'll do it tempo, all right?
You count it off.
All right.
Okay?
1, 2, 1, 2, go. Lakanaka, Wakanaka, Saka to me, 7 up. Lakanaka, Wakanaka, Saka to me, 7 up. Wakanaka. Eight-track today is one of the most important developments that we've had in tape recording, and control all the elements. Be an idea to listen to Jack Richardson, who's a producer. He specializes in producing music.
We've progressed in the recording industry a long way in the last 12 to 15 years. We've gone from a monophonic situation where we recorded everything at once, put it all down on a piece of quarter-inch tape, and whatever we had was what we were stuck with. We're now in a situation where we have a multi-track opportunity, in this case an 8-track machine, and we can separate the elements that go into a record now. We can put bass on one track, drums, the strings, brass, and we have an environment that we can control. We can add equalization, we can add reverberation to any individual track. And the end product is now a much more sophisticated product than it was then. With the help of George Semkiw, our engineer, we'll try to give you some kind of an idea of just exactly what we're talking about. Roll tape, George, please. We have our drum track here, and can we hear the bass track now, please? We have our bass on a separate track all by himself. We have a device called an equalizer, which enables us to change the tonal coloration of any given track. This works basically on the premise that every sound has a frequency response, and we are able to increase or decrease the frequency of any given response range, either bringing in more highs or bringing in more bottom or taking it off. George, just run the guitar track and we'll show you. This guitar track has no top on it at all. We've cut all the top off, and now we'll show you just exactly the range that we can color it with. We've taken everything and put nothing but highs or top end on it. And we'll bring in Ben's piano now, hopefully. In order to achieve some of the, what we call track separation, we use a very, very tight miking technique. Microphones in front of amplifiers are, in some cases, this distance away from the actual sound source. Drums, we use a series of baffles around them to eliminate as much of the leak through into the other microphone. So here again, that we try to keep as much control of the finished product as possible. In the case of the strings, we overdub them by feeding the basic rhythm track out to them and having them play to it. Put the reverb on the strings, George, please.
Interesting.
We have the flutes. I think we might have flutes in there now. Yeah. And I think we should have some brass right about now. There we are. We'll try to put them all together for you now, bringing them in, each one and adding to them. Bring the drums in, George. Bass. Guitar. Piano. That's our basic rhythm track there. To this we've added strings and brass and woodwinds on a totally separate date. Bring in the strings. Where the strings are woodwinds, I believe now, hopefully. There we are, the flutes, and our brass. Now, you see, each of these elements added together brings us into a product that is basically the record that we turn out in the market.